In a world full of noise, speed, and distraction, the most powerful thing you can offer another human being is your presence. We often look for grand gestures to prove love, connection, or importance. But what if the secret isn't in what you say or do, but in how deeply you listen, how truly you show up? This video isn't just about relationships, it's about awareness. It's about living with purpose in a world that constantly pulls us away from it. We're diving into 7 things women often love but rarely admit, not to manipulate, not to impress, but to understand, to grow, to build stronger, more meaningful bonds, rooted in emotional intelligence and Stoic awareness. Because at its core, Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotion. It's about mastering reaction. It's not about avoiding connection. It's about showing up with calm, clarity, and integrity. And if that resonates with you, if you're someone who believes in becoming better, not louder, then this space is for you. Hit that like button to support this message. And subscribe if you're on a journey to live with intention, presence, and power. Let's go deeper than advice. Let's learn how to be, because the world needs fewer performers and more people who are truly present. Welcome to number 1. Honesty. The courage to be seen. In today's world, we curate everything. Our photos, our conversations, even our personalities. We show what is safe to be seen and hide what might make us vulnerable. But here's the truth: the thing that builds the deepest connections in any relationship isn't perfection. It's honesty. Honesty isn't just about telling the truth. It's about the courage to show up without a mask. To say, this is who I am, flaws, fears, and all, and I'm still showing up with integrity. Women, like all human beings, value truth on a level that goes beyond words. They feel it in your presence. They notice when you're real and when you're trying too hard to be something you're not. The Stoic view of honesty. The ancient Stoics saw honesty not as a virtue for others, but as a duty to the self. To lie to others is to first lie to yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." In a world that often rewards manipulation and image over substance, this advice becomes revolutionary. Being honest in today's relationships, romantic or otherwise, means refusing to be controlled by fear. Fear of rejection, fear of not being enough, fear of vulnerability. And that's where Stoicism comes in. Because when you live by your values, not your fears, you become someone who cannot be shaken. Why honesty is magnetic in modern life. Let's be real. We live in a culture of highlight reels. Social media teaches us to filter everything, even our personalities. But guess what? Authenticity cuts through the noise. It's rare, it's raw, and it's deeply attractive. In relationships, women aren't looking for a flawless man. They're looking for a grounded one. Someone who isn't pretending. Someone who can say, I don't have it all figured out, but I'm working on it. That kind of honesty builds trust. And trust is the foundation of everything meaningful. How to practice Stoic honesty today. Here are 3 powerful ways to bring Stoic honesty into your daily life and relationships. 1. Be honest with yourself first. Before you can be honest with someone else, ask yourself, am I living in alignment with my values? Am I saying yes to things I secretly resent? Am I hiding a part of myself out of fear? Self-deception is the root of shallow connection. The Stoics believe that clarity with the self leads to clarity in all things. So if something doesn't feel right, acknowledge it, speak it, own it, not to fight, not to control, but to honor the truth. 2. Speak the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. It's easy to stay silent to keep the peace, but peace built on silence isn't peace, it's delay. Whether it's admitting you made a mistake, sharing your doubts, or expressing what you really want, speak it with respect, but speak it. Stoic honesty doesn't mean brutal truth. It means respectful, mindful truth that leads to growth, not destruction. Remember what Epictetus said? It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. When we speak the truth, we allow others and ourselves to learn. 3. Let your actions match your words. Anyone can say the right things, but Stoicism is a philosophy of action. If you say you care, show it. If you say you're committed, live it. If you apologize, change the behavior that led to the hurt. Your consistency is your credibility. And in a world of empty promises, a man who follows through is a rare force of calm, stability, and leadership. What happens when you live this way? When you live honestly, not just in words but in action, something powerful happens. People feel safe around you. You stop trying to impress and start truly connecting. You free yourself from the exhausting weight of pretending. More importantly, you become a mirror, not of who others want you to be, but of who you really are. That's freedom. That's freedom. That's strength. And that's Stoicism in motion. Final thought for part 1. Honesty is the quiet confidence of a man who has nothing to hide. In your relationships, in your career, and in your private moments, choose truth over image. Because truth lasts, and only what is real can truly be loved. So, if you want deeper love, deeper connection, and deeper inner peace, start by telling the truth. Then live it out loud, quietly, consistently, and with courage. Number 2, listening. The discipline of attention. Why listening is a superpower in the modern world. Let's face it, attention is the new currency. In a time when distractions are endless, the ability to pause, look someone in the eyes and truly listen, not just with your ears but with your whole presence, has become rare and revolutionary. When you truly listen, you're not just hearing words, you're hearing what's beneath the words. You're creating a space where the other person feels seen, heard, and valued, maybe for the first time in a long time. This is the foundation of all deep human connection. And ironically, this power begins not with technique, but with philosophy. The Stoic philosophy of listening. Stoicism teaches us that true wisdom begins with awareness, not with speaking. Epictetus said we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Listening is more than a skill, it's a discipline. A Stoic listens not to reply, but to understand, not to control the conversation, but to observe their own judgments. Because how we listen reveals more about us than how we talk. Why this matters in love and relationships. In a world that confuses communication with noise, women, and people in general, long to be listened to, not with forced empathy, not with fake interest, but with genuine, grounded attention. When a woman speaks and you pause your phone when you make eye contact, nod with presence and ask thoughtful questions, you're not just making her feel heard, you're building trust, respect, safety. You're saying what you feel matters. And in return, you become the kind of man who matters. How to practice Stoic listening in everyday life. Here are 3 ways to bring Stoic listening into your daily interactions, whether in love, friendship, work, or parenting. 1. Listen without judgment. When someone shares something vulnerable, it's easy to filter it through our own biases or rush to conclusions. But Stoicism reminds us, it's not things that disturb us, but our judgments about things. Let people speak their truth, even if it's messy. Even if you don't fully understand. Don't interrupt. Don't fix. Just listen. Practice mental stillness. Hold space without needing to control it. Often what people need isn't your solution. They need to be seen in their struggle, not solved in it. 2. Reflect back what you hear. After someone speaks, repeat back a version of what they said. Not mechanically, but mindfully, like, so you felt really overwhelmed when that happened. Sounds like that made you feel misunderstood. This technique, called mirroring, is more than communication. It's connection. It tells the other person, I'm not just hearing you, I'm feeling you. In relationships, this kind of listening melts walls and builds bridges. Number 3, make listening a lifestyle, not just a strategy. True Stoic listening doesn't end with people, it starts with yourself. Do you listen to your own thoughts or drown them out with distraction? Do you sit in silence or do you constantly run from it? The greatest listeners are the ones who are comfortable with silence because they've made peace with themselves. When you can sit quietly and listen to your inner voice without judgment, you bring the same stillness to your relationships. That's where emotional intelligence is born, and that's where meaningful love begins. The impact of listening on modern life today. Anxiety is rising, attention is shrinking, and loneliness is everywhere. People are more connected than ever and yet feel more isolated than ever. Listening is an antidote. It's how we repair trust. It's how we show empathy without pity. It's how we create emotional safety, which is the very soil where love and growth can flourish. So whether you're a leader, a friend, a partner, or a parent, if you want to be trusted, admired, respected, start by listening. What listening teaches us about ourselves. Every time you catch yourself interrupting, trying to fix, or zoning out, that's a moment to pause and practice Stoic mindfulness. Ask, am I really here, or am I waiting for my turn to talk? Can I stay with this emotion without needing to change it? The better you listen, the better you understand your own mind. And the better you understand your own mind, the deeper your relationships become. Final thought for part 2, listening is not a passive act, it is a radical form of love. In a world that teaches us to perform, listening reminds us to be present. In a world that rewards noise, listening restores peace. If you want to connect on a deeper level with anyone, don't try to impress them, don't try to fix them. Just listen to them. And if you do that day by day, moment by moment, you won't just become a better listener, you'll become a calmer, wiser, more grounded human being. Exactly what this world so desperately needs. Number 3, safety, stability over strength. What does it mean to make someone feel safe? Not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. We live in a world that glorifies dominance, loudness, and control. But when it comes to relationships, especially with women, what truly matters is not how strong you are, but how stable you are. Welcome to number 3. Safety, stability over strength. Redefining safety in a modern world. Gone are the days when safety was just about physical protection. In the 21st century, safety means emotional steadiness. It means being the person who doesn't explode when things go wrong. It means being consistent, predictable, grounded, especially when life is anything but. Why? Because we're all walking through chaos. Every day, people are juggling anxiety, past trauma, fears they can't name, and pressures they never speak of. In that storm, being someone's anchor isn't a role. It's a responsibility, the Stoic view of inner stability. The Stoics believe that while you can't control external events, you can control your inner world. That's your real fortress. That's your power. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Strength then is not in muscles or money. It's in calm, composure, clarity. And when you become a man who lives this way, you don't just make women feel safe. You become safe. Safe to talk to, safe to break down around, safe to grow with. What women really mean by "I want to feel safe." When a woman says she wants to feel safe, she's not asking you to fix the world for her. She's asking, can I be soft in your presence? Will you judge me when I'm messy? Can I trust you not to disappear when things get hard? Safety is about emotional permission to feel, to speak freely, to be imperfect, without fear of punishment. And this type of safety doesn't require heroic gestures. It requires emotional maturity, the kind that Stoicism refines day by day. How to be a safe space. Stoic style. Let's break down 3 practical ways to become a source of strength and safety in today's world, starting from the inside out. 1. Regulate your emotional reactivity. When you explode, withdraw, or blame, you don't look strong, you look unstable. A Stoic doesn't suppress emotion, he processes it before acting on it. So when someone else is angry, hurt, or scared, your job isn't to match their chaos, it's to be the mountain in the storm. Take a breath. Pause, respond, don't react. That's what makes people feel safe. Not your control over them, but your control over yourself. 2. Show up consistently, not dramatically. Safety is built in the everyday moments, not just the big ones. Returning a call, following through on promises, being where you say you'll be, saying what you mean and meaning what you say. Stoicism is a philosophy of daily repetition, of becoming excellent through habit, not hype. So instead of trying to impress, try being reliable. In a world of inconsistency that's deeply attractive. Number 3. Respect her autonomy. This one's big. Safety isn't just about presence, it's also about boundaries. A Stoic respects another person's space, choices, and voice, even when it doesn't match his own. Don't try to save her, don't try to fix her. Don't mistake control for care. True emotional safety means I'm here when you need me, but I honor your independence. This kind of respect creates the safest environment of all, one built on trust, not tension. Why this matters beyond romance. Being a safe person isn't just for romantic relationships. It matters in leadership, in parenting, in friendship, in every room you walk into. People don't remember how much you knew, how charming you were, or how perfect you sounded. They remember how you made them feel. And when you make people feel safe without needing to dominate, outperform, or outshine, you leave a legacy of peace. The Stoic practice of strength in silence. True strength doesn't need applause. It's quiet, it's humble, and it shows up consistently, even when no one's watching. That's why Stoicism trains the soul, not the ego. You become someone others trust, not because you force them to, but because your energy tells them you are safe here. No manipulation, no emotional volatility, just presence, stability, and strength rooted in virtue. Final thought for part 3. To make someone feel safe is not to protect them from the world, but to show them they can face it with you by their side. If you want to be admired, respected, remembered, don't focus on being loud. Focus on being anchored. In a culture that's obsessed with external power, choose internal peace. In a world that screams for attention, become a whisper of calm. Because when everything around someone is spinning out of control, the most attractive person in the room is the one who isn't. Number 4, attunement. The power of noticing what others miss. We live in a world that's constantly rushing. Forward, outward, anywhere but here. But the most beautiful connections in life don't come from what you say. They come from what you notice. Welcome to number 4, attunement. The power of noticing what others miss. Attunement, a modern superpower. What is attunement? It's the ability to read between the lines, to pick up on the small signals, the change in someone's tone, the pause before they respond, the way they avoid eye contact when something's not okay. It's noticing what most people overlook. And in a world obsessed with broadcasting, attunement is the quiet, rare skill of listening with your eyes. It says, I see you, even when you don't say a word. For women, and for all human beings, this creates a sense of emotional intimacy that words alone can never build. But here's what makes attunement stoic. It doesn't come from obsessing over others. It comes from mastering your own awareness first. The Stoic foundation of inner awareness. The Stoics trained their minds to observe with clarity, not react, not judge, not rush. Just notice. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, observe constantly that all things take place by change. To notice subtle shifts in people, in yourself, in life, is to practice radical presence. And in relationships, presence is what makes people feel safe, seen, and valued. This is where attunement becomes more than just emotional intelligence. It becomes a spiritual practice. Because when you're attuned to someone, you're not just noticing what's happening, you're respecting what they may not even know how to say. Why attunement matters more than ever. In today's world, we're trained to filter everything through screens and speed. People are more distracted, more disconnected, more lonely. Most relationships don't fall apart because of big mistakes. They fade because someone stopped noticing the tone of disappointment in I'm fine. Stop noticing the way eyes dimmed after a hard day. Stop noticing when appreciation turned into assumption. Attunement is how you prevent that drift. It's the antidote to emotional neglect, not by force, but by attention. And attention, in its purest form, is love. How to practice Stoic attunement in daily life. Let's explore 3 powerful ways to become more attuned to yourself, to others, and to the moment. 1. Slow down your internal world. You can't notice what's subtle if your mind is speeding. You can't sense another's energy if you haven't calmed your own. Stoics practiced mindful presence through journaling, silence, and reflection. Before entering a conversation, ask yourself, am I here or in my head? Am I listening to understand or to reply? When you slow down, you begin to pick up on what others miss, and that alone creates trust. Because people feel the difference between attention and presence. Presence is deeper. It's soul-level listening. 2. Notice changes without needing explanations. Sometimes people can't explain what they're feeling. They may not even know. But if you're attuned, you'll notice when something's off, and instead of pushing them to talk, you offer space. You don't seem like yourself. I'm here if you want to share. That's Stoic empathy. Quiet, open, non-invasive. It doesn't need drama or analysis. It simply says, I see you, and I'm not going anywhere. In modern relationships, that type of attunement is rare and priceless. Number 3, connect actions to meaning. Attunement isn't just emotional, it's also practical. It's remembering their favorite coffee order. It's sensing they're tired before they say it. It's planning a quiet night in after a stressful week without being asked. None of this requires grand gestures. It only requires observation turned into care. The Stoics believed virtue was active, not abstract. So you turn insight into kindness. You turn awareness into love. That's what creates depth. The inner power attunement builds. As you practice attunement outwardly, something surprising happens inwardly. You become more attuned to yourself. You start recognizing your own tension before it turns to anger. You notice your own emotional fatigue before it spills into reactivity. You stop blaming others for things that were signals you missed in yourself. This is the root of self-mastery, the Stoic goal. Because when you understand your inner world, you no longer project confusion onto others. You respond with clarity, not compulsion. And clarity in a relationship is healing. In a noisy world, noticing is revolutionary. It's easy to scroll, easy to distract, easy to assume everything is fine because it's easier than going deeper. But going deeper is what creates real connection. In a world where most people ask, what's wrong with you? Be the one who asks what's going on inside you and how can I honor that today? That question, even unspoken, is what makes love feel like home. Final thought for part 4. Attunement isn't about fixing people. It's about being present enough to feel what they're not saying. And that's what makes someone unforgettable. Not their words, not their perfection, but their ability to notice what others missed and to respond not with noise but with care. So, slow down, watch closely, listen beyond the surface, because when you learn to notice the invisible, you start to love in a way that is unmistakably rare. Number 5, humor, the grace of lightness. We often think of Stoicism as serious. Stoic people are imagined as cold, hard, unshakable. But in truth, a real Stoic knows when to smile, knows how to soften the weight of life with the grace of lightness. Welcome to number 5, humor, the grace of lightness. Humor misunderstood. In a world filled with pressure, judgment, and constant urgency, we forget something. It's okay to laugh. Not everything must be deep. Not every problem must be heavy. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is chuckle in the face of chaos. Humor isn't the opposite of wisdom. It's a reflection of it. In fact, the more clearly you see the absurdities of life, the easier it becomes to laugh without bitterness. Seneca once said, "It is more fitting for a man to laugh at life than to lament over it." The Stoics weren't humorless. They were just deeply present. And when you're fully present, you realize Most of life is funny, Sally, if you're not too proud to admit it. Why humor is a Stoic virtue? You see, humor requires two very Stoic things. One, perspective. Two, control. To laugh at something, you must take a step back. You must release your need to control everything. You must loosen your grip on outcomes, on expectations, on ego. And isn't that what Stoicism teaches? To accept what you cannot change. To remain calm in the storm. To respond with grace, not rage. Humor is emotional aikido, using lightness to redirect heaviness. It doesn't mean you're not serious about life. It means you're wise enough not to take yourself too seriously in the process. The role of humor in love and relationships. Let's be honest, deep love doesn't thrive on drama. It thrives on shared joy, ease, and emotional safety. And nothing builds emotional safety faster than laughter. When a woman can laugh with you, truly freely, she relaxes. She lets her guard down. She begins to associate you with relief instead of tension. That doesn't mean you must become a comedian. It means learning to bring levity into her world, not with jokes, but with presence. The kind of presence that says, life is hard enough, let's not make it heavier than it needs to be. In a world full of stress, be someone who knows how to make space for joy, how to practice Stoic humor in everyday life. Let's explore 3 Stoic-inspired practices to cultivate humor that's intelligent, respectful, and deeply healing, both for yourself and those around you. 1. Laugh at yourself first. Ego hates this, but growth loves it. When you laugh at your own awkwardness, your mistakes, your quirks, you disarm shame. You let others know, I don't need to pretend I'm perfect, I'm human, and I'm okay with it. This creates incredible emotional safety. In relationships, this humility is magnetic. Women don't fall in love with men who seem flawless. They fall in love with men who are comfortable being real and who can meet life's awkwardness with a grin. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, choose not to be harmed and you won't be. When you choose to laugh instead of crumble, you become unshakable in spirit. 2. Use humor to diffuse, not to dismiss. There's a fine line between lightening the mood and avoiding emotion. True Stoic humor doesn't ignore pain. It acknowledges pain and holds it with warmth, not weight. For example, when your partner is overwhelmed, you might say with a soft smile, sounds like the world forgot you're human today. This small dose of levity can soften intensity without minimizing truth. The key is empathy first, humor second. You're not avoiding emotion, you're soothing it. Humor, when used with emotional awareness, becomes a gift. It breaks tension, it invites connection, it heals. 3. Stay light but rooted. Humor becomes toxic when it becomes sarcasm, mockery, or emotional deflection. A Stoic doesn't joke at others' expense. They don't use humor to hide, they use it to lift. So check your intentions. Ask, am I using humor to connect or to escape? When you ground your humor in compassion, you become someone who people trust to hold both joy and pain, without tipping too far into either. This balance, seriousness without heaviness, joy without denial, is a mark of true wisdom. The mental benefits of humor in a chaotic world. Humor isn't just social glue, it's a mental reset. It interrupts anxiety, releases dopamine and oxytocin, invites perspective during stress, disarms ego during conflict. In short, humor is a kind of emotional alchemy. It transforms frustration into fuel, pain into perspective. That's why laughter matters, not just in relationships, but in every human connection. Final thought for part 5. A wise man laughs not because life is easy, but because he knows he'll be okay no matter what. The ability to smile in hardship, to share joy even when life is difficult, and to laugh without needing a reason. These are marks of inner freedom. So don't let this world harden you. Don't let the weight make you forget your lightness. And don't underestimate the power of a well-timed grin. In the end, it's not the big speeches that people remember. It's the inside jokes, the smirks during struggle, the laughter that says, even here, even now, I still choose joy. Number 6, purpose, the magnetic pull of direction. There is something undeniably magnetic about a person who knows where they're going, not because they figured it all out, but because they move with purpose. Welcome to number 6, purpose, the magnetic pole of direction. What is purpose, really? In today's world, purpose is often sold as a big, dramatic revelation. Find your passion, chase your dreams, hustle harder. But for the Stoic, purpose isn't about status, spotlight, or success. It's about living in harmony with your highest values and waking up each day with the intention to move forward, even quietly. As Epictetus wrote, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Purpose, then, is not a destination. It's a direction, a steady flame inside that guides you, especially when the world is loud and confusing. Why purpose is so attractive? Let's be honest. We all feel drawn to people who are in motion, not just physically, but philosophically, emotionally, spiritually. In relationships especially, purpose is magnetic, not because it's impressive, but because it's anchoring. When you live with purpose, you stop seeking validation from others. You stop being thrown off course by every distraction. You give your partner, your friends, your community a steady presence to lean on. That's rare, that's powerful, that's Stoic. The Stoic understanding of purpose. To the Stoics, purpose wasn't optional. It was the foundation of peace. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, had unimaginable pressure, yet he wrote in his Meditations, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." So ask yourself, what are you aiming for? What are you shaping your life around? What do you wake up each morning to serve? If the answer is unclear, it's not too late. Purpose isn't found. It's chosen, moment by moment, through action. How to live with purpose in a modern world. Let's look at 3 Stoic practices that can help you discover, strengthen, and embody your purpose, even amidst the chaos of daily life. 1. Define your values and let them guide your choices. Your purpose is not your job title, your income, or your follower count. It's your inner compass. It's the standard you set for how you want to show up, even when no one's watching. So get clear. Ask yourself, what do I stand for? What kind of person do I want to be when things get hard? What virtues am I committed to, no matter what? The Stoics believed in living in alignment with nature, your own human nature, which is rational, social, and capable of excellence. So whether your work is glamorous or quiet, if it flows from your values, it carries immense dignity. Number 2, do the next right thing, even if it's small. In a world obsessed with results, the Stoics focused on effort, not outcomes, not applause, just effort. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." Living with purpose doesn't require dramatic gestures. It requires consistency. Show up to your commitments. Finish what you start. Speak with integrity. Be where your feet are. You don't need to change the world today. You need to do the next right thing with clarity and calm. Over time, that becomes unshakable momentum. 3. Let your direction calm your doubts. Even the most disciplined mind has moments of confusion. But here's what Stoicism teaches. You don't need certainty. You need clarity of intent. When you know why you're moving, you can handle setbacks. When you trust your direction, you don't panic over detours. In relationships, this makes you incredibly stabilizing, because when others are lost in emotion, you stay rooted in values. You don't collapse when things feel hard. You lead forward, quietly and consistently. This kind of grounded purpose makes people feel safe, not because you have all the answers, but because you're not afraid of the questions. Purpose is peace in a distracted world. In the age of scrolling, comparison, and instant gratification, living with purpose is rebellion. It's choosing depth over dopamine, presence over performance, virtue over vanity. And the best part, you don't need anyone's permission to live this way. You don't need applause to stay in motion. You just need the courage to ask yourself, every day, what matters most today, and am I moving toward it? That question, when asked consistently, becomes a compass, and that compass, when followed, becomes a legacy. Final thought for part 6, direction is more powerful than speed. You don't need to go faster, you need to go truer. The world is filled with people chasing things they don't even believe in. But when you live with purpose, even quietly, you become rare. Rare in your clarity, rare in your peace, rare in your presence. And in a relationship, that presence is irresistible. Not because it performs, but because it leads. Not with control, not with chaos, but with calm, noble purpose. Number 7, integrity. The invisible thread that holds everything together. In the end, what holds a person together? Not charm, not performance, not potential. It's integrity, the quiet force that makes every word mean something and every action echo long after it's gone. Welcome to number 7, integrity, the invisible thread that holds everything together. Why integrity is the core of Stoic living. To the Stoics, integrity wasn't about image. It wasn't something you showed the world. It was something you owed to yourself. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Because integrity isn't about how people perceive you, it's about how you behave when no one's watching, when it's not easy, when no reward is guaranteed, when compromise looks convenient. In today's culture of shortcuts, branding, and fast wins, integrity is rare. But that's what makes it powerful, what makes integrity so attractive. Integrity is attractive, not because it glitters, but because it doesn't waver. In love, in business, in friendship, the most magnetic trait is this: I know who I am, and I will not break myself to become who I'm not. Women sense it instantly, not in your words, but in your presence. Do you keep your promises? Do your actions match your values? Can she trust that your yes means yes and your no won't bend under pressure? This is integrity in action. It creates security, respect, and deep emotional trust. And trust isn't built in a moment. It's built in repetition. The Stoic definition of integrity. The Stoics defined integrity as living in agreement with reason and virtue. They didn't strive to be admired, they strove to be internally aligned. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." So how do you do that? It starts by removing the gap between what you believe and how you behave. This is not about perfection. It's about coherence. When your thoughts, words, and actions are united, you become someone that others can rely on and you can respect. How to practice Stoic integrity in a chaotic world. Let's explore 3 Stoic practices to live with integrity, no matter the situation, pressure, or audience. 1. Do what's right, especially when it's inconvenient. Most people do the right thing when it's easy. Few do it when it's costly, uncomfortable, or unnoticed. But Stoicism teaches, virtue is its own reward. So, when you're tempted to take the shortcut, when no one will know if you lie, when silence would be safer than truth, choose what's right, not what's easy. Over time, these small decisions sculpt your character. And character is what people fall in love with, not performance. 2. Be consistent in your values, not in your moods. In today's emotional world, many people are ruled by how they feel in the moment. But integrity is choosing to be principled, not reactive. When you're tired, but you show up anyway. When you're upset, but you stay respectful. When you're tempted, but you stay loyal. These are not grand gestures. They are daily disciplines. And discipline is the foundation of self-respect. If you want others to believe in you, start by being someone you believe in. Be honest, even when it risks being misunderstood. Integrity is not about being liked. It's about being clear and truthful, even when it's uncomfortable. This means saying, I made a mistake, I'm not ready, I don't agree, and here's why. Not to be confrontational, but to be authentic. In relationships, this creates depth. When someone knows you won't hide, pretend, or say what they want to hear, they relax. They may not always agree, but they'll always know where you stand. And in a world of uncertainty, that's priceless. Integrity and mental peace, living out of alignment, drains your soul. It creates anxiety, guilt, and emotional noise. But when you live with integrity, even imperfectly, you experience something rare, peace of mind. Because you no longer wonder, who am I when no one's looking? What happens if they find out the truth? Am I becoming someone I don't recognize? With integrity, your inner and outer life become one. And from that unity comes real freedom. Why the world needs more integrity today? We're surrounded by noise, promises without follow-through, masks without substance, applause without meaning. But when you live with integrity, you stand out, not because you're loud, but because you're true. You become rare, not because you're perfect, but because you're consistent. You inspire others not by preaching, but by living your values out loud. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to become the proof in how you walk, decide, and show up. Final thought for part 7. Integrity is doing the right thing, even when it costs you, and especially when no one sees you. In the end, charm fades, looks shift, circumstances change. But integrity, that's the invisible thread that holds everything together. It makes your love deeper, your leadership stronger, your life simpler. So ask yourself, am I acting in line with what I believe? Is my yes trustworthy? Am I living in a way I'd admire in someone else? Because the most powerful person in the room is not the loudest, not the most followed, not even the most successful. It's the one who cannot be bought, shaken, or broken. Because they live in truth. In a world that's constantly changing, pulling your attention in every direction, it's easy to feel lost, easy to feel like you're not enough, easy to believe you must perform, please, and prove yourself to be loved. But what if the real answer isn't found out there? What if the deepest relationships and the deepest peace are built not by becoming more, but by becoming true? That's what Stoicism teaches. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have all the answers. You simply have to live in alignment with what is good, just, disciplined, and true. Day by day, moment by moment. Because in the end, the things people love most about you aren't the things you try to show. They're the things you become by showing up consistently with integrity, presence, humor, kindness, and purpose. You've just explored 7 things women love, but rarely say aloud. And maybe the truth is, those aren't just things women want. They're what everyone needs in a partner. And even more than that, they're what you need in yourself. So here's the challenge. Be the one who listens deeply when others rush to speak. Be the one who stands firm in storms, who laughs without cruelty, who cares without conditions. Be the one who doesn't just talk about values, but lives them quietly, powerfully, without apology. That's how you love, that's how you lead, that's how you rise. And if this message speaks to something in you, if you're on a journey not to impress the world, but to build something real within yourself, then this space was made for you. Subscribe to the channel for more Stoic-inspired insights, reflections, and practices that go beyond motivation and into transformation. We're not here to perform. We're here to practice, to rise, to become. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more people who are quietly, powerfully aligned, with virtue, with clarity, with peace. So take a breath, stand tall, and keep becoming the person you admire. We'll be right here walking the path with you.